Hey there, everybody. Welcome to week 9. Flying through. This is the last week before spring break. So just, get everything in by Friday and then learn a little bit about the Tokugawa period. So, kind of the height of Japanese art and culture in many ways. I guess a period of height of Japanese art culture. There's many periods, as we see, where Japan is flourishing. The Tokugawa is one of those. We'll talk about that. Well, the lectures talk about that. Get through that this week, and then then have a little break. So Tokugawa is a very interesting period. Again, hopefully you're seeing sort of the way the course is set up. Japan can be kind of broken up into historically and culturally different periods that are very influential in what makes Japan Japan. This case, the Tokugawa period, is really interesting because after Japan unifies, it self isolates. Sakoku, it instills this idea of wants to cut itself off from the outside world. And it does. It effectively, the movie Silence that I gave a clip of is really interesting about the influence and sort of some of the threat of the outside world, like spread of Christianity. A lot of the sort of Christian groups, it's particularly in southern Japan, started to kind of form, which was a threat to this new unified center. There were new technologies that were brought in as well, guns and things, new ideas that these Tokugawa rulers didn't want disrupting their newfound peace and sort of stability. So they basically kicked everyone out and didn't maintain relations. There was one place the lecture talks about in Nagasaki where they created its own little island, Dejima, where they allowed Dutch traders who were very much just sort of just wanted to maintain economic connections. Didn't really have any aspirations for conquering Japan. So there was a little bit of outside contact, but for the most part, Tokugawa was very closed out. But that doesn't mean it wasn't thriving. I mean, one interesting point of this period is this is where Edo, the capital, shifts to what is Edo, which is now Tokyo. So this is where the Tokyo becomes the center of Japanese society and culture. Edo Castle is still there. I gave a little bit of a little vlog about sites of it. You can go see it today. And it's just really these cities. I mean, Japan is flourishing. It's unified. It's doing really well. Tokyo is becoming a very influential spot. In fact, a lot of urban centers are thriving, which then creates this another period of thriving arts and culture in Japan with kabuki theater. There's a video on that. This geisha culture, because it started in sort of the Heian period, really starts to take shape in this. I gave a video on the geishas, which is the day in the life of a geisha, which in this Edo period is very much part of this world. Arts. This is where haiku with Basho, the sort of the most renowned haiku artist or haiku poet, is there, and also one of the most renowned artists of Japan, Hokusai, comes up, and this is the wave of Kanagawa, which I think everyone is familiar with. That's part of this artistic world. These are all in the Tokugawa period. So one thing about both of them are, especially Basho and Hokusai, is a lot in the Tokugawa period. People like to move around and go travel around Japan because it was relatively safe and stable, and then they'd make a count. So Hokusai, the wave of Kanagawa, which I sort of talk about in the lecture, is actually one of 36 images of Mount Fuji. From different areas around, so you could really write if you want to go look at a different picture of Mount Fuji from this collection. I gave a link to Hokusai, which he has all sorts of different. I mean, he was a very interesting figure. Did a lot of art, very influential within Japan. Similar to Basho. Basho went around. There's a lot of travel accounts that he gave. But his haikus, and I gave another video of the significance of the frog haiku. The frog jumps into an old pond and makes a sound, right? And then some people kind of explain the significance of that. It's much different in the Japanese language. I gave you one who explained it in the Japanese language as well. And then one of the most famous episodes of this period is the 47 Ronin. Which is a movie that's been remade, story that's been remade in the Western world as well. This idea that in the Tokugawa period, there people would bring. You would go to Edo if you were a daimyo. One way to keep order is you had to send your family members to the capital, which is why it was so flourishing, because all these major families were investing there. And then, but there was also some tensions. Asano, who's from the Ako clan, daimyo, is getting sort of harassed, or maybe even asked for a bribe from this Tokugawa official Kira. He stabs him, but then is asked to, and that's an affront. You can't do that, so he has to commit seppuku, right, suicide. And then his ronin, or his samurai, are now headless. So then the whole story is how they get their payback, and they go out. Oishi, the head of them, right? They, for like a year or two, they just disband, but they're plotting, and then in the end they come back and avenge their master, which is a very famous story that's told in Japan, and it's been retold multiple times, even in Western cinema and as well. So arts, culture, kabuki theater, it also talks about these kind of stories as well. So that's that this week. So this week is as a again the short response. You can pick some history parts, or you can do some art stuff, or there's some issues, some people, some events that we've talked about in the last couple of weeks that we haven't gotten to. Or if you're into Buddhism, you can do that. Just kind of pick a figure up in the Tokugawa period and write about them a little bit. Is all that I'm looking for in this one. If you're into arts and culture, get into Basho or Hokusai. Talk about one of his paintings. There's a lot of other. We didn't talk about all of them. If you want to get into Tokugawa artists, that's fine as well. Or some other figures that maybe you know of or are interested in. Feel free for that short response. But I do want to talk about one issue that's sort of come up a few times now, particularly in this last Buddhism quiz. The use of AI. I see it. In this case, there was a lot of people kept talking about this Korean kingdom, Baijeke, which I looked back in my notes. I had never mentioned once. So I Googled it online, and then I saw kind of like the AI overview of, if you type in how did Buddhism come to Japan, there's like a whole AI thing. And a lot of people were really, a lot of wording on that was almost verbatim from the internet, which is frustrating. The part of the assessments each week is to kind of, what did you learn, and you're taking this class to learn things about Japan culture. So do please, use of AI. I went back and if I saw AI stuff, I just took some points off. Going forward, if it's AI stuff and very apparent, I'm just gonna give zeros and move on. Some people even like AI like a Zen koan, which is something I never would have thought to just think of a Zen koan through the computer, which I don't know if I don't know where I stand. The whole Zen koan is to think. It's meant to make you think and to just have AI think for you. It's a new world we live in, but just don't do that. Just spend. That's the whole point of a koan is to put you in a space where you're thinking inside of yourself, not asking how you should think inside of yourself, if that makes sense. Going forward, please be a little more mindful of the use of AI. If you want to do a little background, you can, but it has to be your own words and thoughts, right? Don't just cut and paste it. If you're over it, if you're done with the course, please withdraw for any courses at March 28th. Maybe it's not your thing. That's totally fine. Definitely look at your grades. Any more AI stuff, just again, the whole point is to learn a little bit about Japan and then find out. A lot of the assignments are, what do you like? What are you interested in? So please do that going forward. You can do that with a short response now. And then obviously, your one thing I do want to talk about is you have your semester projects, which is sort of a paper and a presentation. You should all have topics. Over spring break, please work on them. If I get a bunch of AI stuff back from that, again, I'll just zero it and move on and put my efforts on people who are engaging with the material. So, if you're a little worn out, finish up this week, get recharged over spring break, and then I think it's 5 or 6 weeks after we'll go through it. No problem. All right. Have a good rest of your week.